Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Literary as Fact with me, Nick, and him,
An insurable Sean.
uninsurable Sean, yes.
I
Um,
just, I just can't. They look at my track record
mhm.
and no,
Red
you're not
flags
touching
are
that
raised.
guy.
Red flags are raised all over the place.
Yeah,
And speaking of
yes.
red flags,
Ah, yes.
today, we're
Or
talking
black
about
flags, I
and
suppose.
black flags and red
Yes.
flags and white flags. Um, yes, so we are talking the book No Harmless Power, the life and times of the Ukrainian anarchist Nestor Makhno, which is not how you say his name, and I'm going to tell a little story about that in a second.
Oh, no
Um,
harmless power in your colon, did you say?
yes, yes,
Oh,
you want to be careful. You can
no,
build a lot
no,
of
I suppose there's all
there.
sorts of things lurking in there, isn't there? If you,
Mhm.
yeah.
Um, Author is Charlie Allison, illustrations by N.O. Bonzo and Kevin Matthews. It's published by PM Press, who are, this shows how long I've been out of the loop on anarchist stuff, because I wasn't even aware of these guys. But this is, yeah, founded in 2007. They seem to be a publishing house that focuses mostly on, again, anarchist um, stuff, history,
Hmm.
contemporary anarchist stuff. They seem to be kind of related to AK Press, who
Ah, okay.
was a company that I followed very assiduously for years as a younger person.
What was AK Press also somehow affiliated with Alternative Tentacles?
Yeah, I mean they were. I think AK Press was again San Francisco Bay Area.
Right.
So right, so you've got you would definitely have connections between the punk scene and the anarchist
I
scene
wonder
there.
if Alternative Tentacles still exists as a label.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure that they do.
Ah,
And
okay.
Jello just had a stroke
Did he?
recently. Yeah, and it was quite a major one, but he does seem to be recovering all right. Um, but yeah, he's recuperating at the moment.
We'll be talking more San Francisco in a little bit when we talk about the Herbie films, believe it or
Mm,
not. Kind of,
yes, yeah.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so obviously we have a lot of Ukrainian immigrants in Canada at the moment, thanks to the shit that's been going on in their country. And so,
I
uh,
think you're wrong there. I think you'll find, Nick, that that nice Mr. Putin
oh,
is actually he's rooting out Nazis from what I hear. So he's actually
yes, yes. Well,
he's doing good work.
yeah, yeah. We'll be talking about the history of Russian authorities claiming anti-Semitism on, the part of people they don't like. That comes up quite a bit in regards to Nestor Makhno.
Right.
Um, but no, but every time I brought him up with anyone, I'm like, oh, like one person from the Ukraine I really admire is Nestor Makhno. I get totally blank looks, and that is, I think, because I wasn't saying Nestor Makhno, which is clearly how you're supposed to say his name, which I now know from watching the Nine Lives of Nestor Makhno.
Right.
So in the future, hopefully people won't punch me in the face for thinking that I'm making fun of the accent or something like that. But anyway, Nestor Makhno doesn't make it. The Ukrainian people don't know who the fuck I'm talking about. But it turns out once you bring up a picture of him on your phone or whatever, they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, Nestor." Like, okay. Um,
Okay.
so were you aware of?
No, it's interesting. I'd vaguely heard the name, and yeah, you just hear Nestor Makhno, Ukrainian terror. There's a Freudian
Yeah,
slip
there you
there.
go.
Um, Anarchist, right? And but no, no detail
Okay.
really. Um, and it's interesting. I still have a bit of a hard time pinning down. So, if I may, I'll take you on a little digression.
Please.
Because I started reading the book under review today
Mhm.
and got quite annoyed with it quite quickly
Yeah, yeah.
because it has this kind of um, flippant kind of
Yep.
air about
Glib,
it, doesn't it?
glib
Yes, which
tone, yeah.
I don't necessarily mind if it's funny, but he's not funny, right? So
Yep.
so you'll have these like he mentioned something about Nestor Makhno's real name or something like that, and then aren't names fun or something like that. What
Yeah.
and there's a lot of shit like that in there.
Yep.
And because I'm also this is my introduction
Yes.
to
Yes.
Nestor Makhno,
Yep.
um, I decided to actually read another book first.
Ah,
So
okay.
I read Sean Patterson's Makhno and Memory,
Okay. Interesting.
which is referenced in this
Okay.
book. I read that whole book and then got more of a sense of who he
Okay.
was.
I'm actually glad that you brought this up because I this is ultimately where I was going to go at the end of the show was to recommend that you don't begin your exploration of his life with
Yes,
that book. And the
yes,
thing is, I had a framework to hang it on, but even then, my framework was, 25 years old. I haven't read about him since then. I even had a hard time sometimes following the thread of this book. Like I felt
yes.
like I felt like yeah, you said glib. I mean, the glib asides, whatever. I could take or leave them. You're right. They're not. One or two of them might have made me smile, but most of them are annoying.
Yes.
Um, but more than that, I felt like it didn't give me a really clear sense of what was going on historically. I
No,
kind of it almost assumed you had a pretty decent knowledge going in of the Russian Civil War,
I think
of
so.
various
I think
factions,
so.
right?
Like,
Um,
do they even mention in this book? And they might do. I might just have glazed over. But do they even mention that Makhno sat down and met with Lenin at a certain point? Because that seems to me a very
Huge
important.
thing. Yeah, and I don't remember if it's really stressed. I mean, it might be
It's
mentioned
certainly
in
not stressed.
yeah,
It might be mentioned, but that's quite a a thing, isn't it?
you would think. Yep.
Like anyone sitting, like my ice cream man sitting down and meeting Lenin would be,
Yeah.
but Makhno and Lenin would be a, yeah.
So so like this, for example, right? Which
Okay.
is a history of the Makhnovist movement, 1918. This is by Arshinov, who appears in the TV series. He's the elder anarchist when Makhno goes to prison at the beginning when
Oh,
he's
yes, yes.
17, who kind of takes him under his wing. Um, and this is actual essays by the man himself. This is AK
Oh,
Press.
okay.
This is my struggle against the state and other essays. And then this is actually a great little pamphlet I remember buying at Freedom Press, which is the anarchist
Oh,
bookshop in London, which is fighting the revolution. So it's essays on Makhno, Buenaventura Durruti, and Zapata. Um, and I suppose the reason why I chose Makhno,
yes. I'm curious about this.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this anyway.
yeah. So a lot of the times when like if you read anarchist literature, you're reading philosophy in a way, right? And if you're reading, I mean, Peter Kropotkin, for example, you're reading kind of political philosophy. Um, but there's something much more like naughty about attempting to put this shit into practice, right? It's
Hmm.
one thing to write your utopias and to kind of write your programs for a beautiful future of cooperation and the rest of it. Um, but it's a very different situation to attempt to put those ideas into practice. And
Right. Especially when some of the ideas as well and the terminology doesn't like it's fascinating that when people talk about anarchy now or anarchism, they're not really talking about foundational anarchism. It's become a synonym for chaos, isn't it?
well,
Which is
yes,
not what it is at all. So
no,
that's
no,
kind
no,
of
no.
interesting.
Yeah, it's not. Yes, voluntary cooperation, and like, yeah. Ideally, an anarchist society should be a highly organized society, but which is one that works for the benefit of all,
And
right?
I don't know if we're to blame Johnny Rotten or not because is
No, no, no. It goes way back.
does he know what it means? Or is it
No,
just people who don't
no,
listen to it who don't know what it means?
no.
Or
I honestly, no. I don't think he got it either.
no, I
I think
don't think so
if you
either.
want your musical primer on anarchism, you need to go to Crass. I think they were probably the
Right.
closest, right? Um, but no, no. I mean, the conflation of anarchy with chaos goes back to I think the attentats, right? That's the assassination campaign carried out by the
Right.
bomb from the anarchists, right?
Yes. Well, we spoke of this when we did Conrad's Secret Agent as well, to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so for me, I mean, as much as I loved reading Kropotkin, I loved reading Bakunin. I mean, Bakunin's a little different because he did actually travel around the world attempting to foment insurrections and consistently, spectacularly failing. He's a great person. I think in terms of like his ideas, and a great person in terms of like just fun to read about, but not effective as an actual
Mm.
like effective as an agitator, but it didn't seem to have any follow through, right? The ability to kind of make anything really happen that would be
Right.
lasting. So anyway, um, so Makhno and then the Spanish Civil War are really two of the only examples we have of a moment in time and space where somebody was able to kind of go, okay, holy shit, this is the moment. The government has fallen.
Mm.
Let's try it, you know.
But
And
it's also fascinating, isn't it? It's also fascinating, and this follows us up to the very present day. It's it's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. The left does have this horrible habit
mhm.
of splintering rather than coming together, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
and it goes all the way
You
back,
mean the
right?
People's Front of Judea versus
Yeah, exactly,
the Judean
exactly.
People's Front? Yeah.
It's kind of remarkable, and it's happening right now as well, right? Especially in the UK, for example. I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan of Keir Starmer, but we have managed to get this kind of Labour government back after a while, and again, that's probably not the way forward. We probably want to be maybe going, Greens or
Hmm.
my party if they ever get their shit together or something. But almost as soon as the infighting is just
Oh, yeah. The circular firing squad is a very much a major piece of the left, you know.
it's
Um,
amazing, really. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
yeah, so for me, I mean, later on, maybe next year, I might want to look at Buenaventura Durruti, who is the other kind of figure to me who's really interesting in terms of being kind of in some ways like an adventurer and
Boy,
like
do we know how to get those viewing figures up.
yes, yeah. But like yeah, so Makhno and Durruti are two people who like attempted to do it, attempted to actually do it, and then
Yes.
so,
Before
to
the
me,
latter, of course, decided to join Factory Records and make
yes,
acoustic guitar
yeah. Records, yeah,
albums. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. So that's why I think that's why I thought I want to come back to anarchism, but I want to come back to anarchism in a way that we look at somebody who really attempted to put the praxis into practice, and
Okay,
then
so to follow up, because you still didn't quite answer. Well, I didn't ask the question, which is why I didn't answer it. But the question, the question I want to is: so is Nestor Makhno? Is he a hero of yours? Is he someone that you've
yeah,
admired? Is it
I think
okay?
so.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
for sure. Yeah, certainly when I was in my 20s, he would have been one of my.
Did you have a fur hat like his?
I no, sadly
Oh,
not.
oh, that's
No.
a shame.
Um,
Damn.
and
There's my there's my wank bank image of the night ruined. I was looking forward to
sorry.
that. I suppose I
Um,
could always figure it out.
um, so I mean, like that. One of the things is I think he's a very little known figure outside of the Ukraine, and I think that that's partly a kind of a deliberate thing. And the other thing is, in this present moment in time, he has been adopted by Ukrainian nationalists, which is a kind of a weird thing in that he himself was not a nationalist. He protected his area of the Ukraine against, you know, I suppose Russian aggression coming from both left and right, right, coming
Hmm.
from the Tsarist forces and from the Bolshevik forces. But he was not a nationalist. He was
No.
an anarchist, you know,
Well,
first and
it's
foremost.
also interesting for me. The thing that was particularly interesting was I knew nothing of the Mennonites, right? These kind of displaced Germans who are kind of um
Hmm.
you know kind of ushered in by the Bolsheviks and kind of given free. And that's kind of interesting. So especially in Makhno memory, I should have written it down. There's a very famous. There's a particular town they went to, there's a famous massacre that happened, isn't there?
Okay.
Where the Makhnovites, again, that's the other thing that's particularly interesting about the Makhno memory book is the Makhno memory book is its thesis is very much trying to weigh up whether Nestor Makhno was a heroic kind of figure
Hmm.
or a sort of opportunist in a
Okay.
way.
Hmm.
But there was this massacre where lots of people were killed, and there was a lot of rapes that occurred, and it's a bit of a blight on the Makhno story.
History. Hmm.
And I think yeah, so it's and him as well. The other thing I've gathered across these things that I've read and watched and stuff as well is himself as well. He's not, if we're to believe, he would have been the first person to want to knock down his own heroic image, right? Like it's
Yes.
not about him
Yes.
necessarily, right? He's not
Yes.
supposed to be a hero. So yeah, I still don't know. So and sorry, and going back to the point. So yeah, the interesting thing is that within that Mennonite community as well, um, he's considered a bit of a villain, right? Because
Right.
for some people in that community, as it went on in generations, they wouldn't have considered themselves necessarily invaders. And then in
Hmm.
their history, there's this figure who was at the head of this terrible massacre that happened to their people. So yeah, there's a million different ways to look
Oh,
at the
yes. Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean,
And I still don't have a handle on it, I have to say.
no, sure. I mean, the fog of war is a piece, and that's one of
Right.
the reasons why I find him fascinating because you have, I still think the most potentially ethical form of or idea about how to live,
Mm,
right? And then the attempt to apply that in a wartime situation, like I mean, how do you have an anarchist army? How do you protect an
right.
area of land and say this area we're going to run this without recourse to violence as well, not without recourse to violence because there clearly was violence,
Right.
but like without recourse to
I don't think they were tickling the Bolsheviks, right?
no,
No.
no. Um,
Well, the other thing as well is,
But
uh,
should we hang on for just a second and very,
yeah,
very briefly sketch his life, just to say basically he's a, Nestor is a young man when he kind of comes to anarchism, like he's a teenager. He
yeah,
joins an anarchist group. He gets hooked into prison, where he is for like 8 years or something like that,
quite a
right?
long time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he falls in under the wing of a group of older, kind of more armchair anarchist types, right?
Yes,
Um,
but what I want to say, and just ties in perfectly with the timing, with what is the timeline, is the thing I do like about him is because I always admire these type of people. I always kind of relate to them. He's very much an autodidact as well, and
oh yes.
I always do like a good
Well,
old
he's a
autodidact.
peasant. I mean,
Yeah,
he's like he's not from the money class. I mean, like that. The joke is some of the great anarchists, right? Proudhon, very much kind of upper middle class. Kropotkin, a prince, like
right,
Bakunin, also a member of the gentry, like of that, like I think also royal, maybe even vaguely royal or whatever. So yeah, he's a proper, you know, from the soil kind of,
yes. I don't think Karl Marx was, ironically, wasn't short of money either.
no, not at all. He had like dozens of servants and stuff, which is yeah, so
Yeah.
awesome. One rule for me, one rule for everybody else. Um, but so yeah, so he gets yeah, so then the Russian Revolution happens, right? While he's still in jail, and there's basically an amnesty, and all political prisoners are freed. So he gets to go back to the Ukraine. At which point, yeah, the Tsar has fallen, and there's this kind of momentary gap where there is no government, and they're ready, basically, and they're like, okay, let's do this thing. Let's have our version of anarcho-communism. So they start building a commune. They start expropriating the landowners, and what I like a lot about the TV series, which we will talk about, I think, is that it really
Yes,
gets into the weeds on this stuff, into the nitty
yes,
gritty, and I
yes,
found fantastic.
yes.
Your mileage very much may vary with that shit, but it was made. It was
Yeah,
managed for.
I
you
haven't
know.
finished it yet.
No,
Have you seen the whole thing?
I'm 6 episodes in
Oh, I'm
myself.
seven
I'm
in.
I'm halfway through, yeah.
Right. No, of 12. No, no, what I really like about it is that it comes in that because when did it come out? Is it 2009 or something?
Something, yes, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and not only is the Pavel Derevianko excellent.
He's so good.
Yeah,
He's
he is
so
absolutely. He also plays he was Pushkin in there's a few years ago there were those remember those Russian like Gogol like fantasy horror films that came out. There's like a trilogy
right.
of them. So he's in a couple of them as Pushkin. So
Okay.
I'm kind of quite keen to
Awesome.
watch them now
Yeah.
because I like him. He's really good. But what I was going to say, it comes in that perfect window as well, though, I think, where um, you know, now sadly it's long since closed, but in that window of time where Russia was very open to talking about its past in quite an honest way, I think. So
Yes.
I think that's
That
what's
fascinates me
that
too.
series would not be made now, I don't think.
Never, never in this moment.
Sorry, we're talking about the Nine Lives of Nestor
Yes.
Makhno, which you can find online. It's at archive.org with subtitles. And yes, it is.
Yes.
I know what you mean, Nick. Like if you're not into it, it's kind of a slightly cheapy kind of TV
Yeah.
production and talky. But if you're into it, it's really good, and it really does. I mean, it does do nuance well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Far better than the book we're ostensibly talking about.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree with
I
you.
mean,
That was the kind of
so
the find of
I
the
would
show was that.
I will say, yeah, yeah, thank you. And Clive, that was down to you. You found the TV series. But yeah, if I was actually going to say to anyone what's the best introduction to Nestor Makhno, it's
Yes,
that TV series because
I think so.
it does give the grounding, the context. You do understand like historically the bigger picture of what's going on because it
Yes,
shows you, right. So yeah, so he goes back, he sets up this commune, and then it's basically attempts to defend it from both um so that basically the Tsarist forces kind of regroup and they do attempt to come back in and
mm,
retake Russia, right, and with the help of the Germans. And then on the other hand you have the Bolshevik army, and so the Bolsheviks and the anarchists have never gotten along particularly well, and basically the wheels come off spectacularly. And this is when
yes.
anarchists realize,
One's a
oh,
little bit country, the other one's rock and roll.
there you go. So yeah, the issue being there was always suspicion of the Karl Marx idea of that there needed to be a dictatorship of the proletariat before you get to the utopia, and the anarchists were like, can we not just skip to the utopia? Why is it
Right,
necessary to have this very draconian kind of totalitarian state between us and our freedom?
right.
Um, and yeah, all of what had been on paper, kind of like or armchair discussions, become very real when the Bolsheviks seize power and basically decide to take out anyone to the right of them and anyone further to the left of them.
Yeah. They
Right.
do a really good job of that in the TV series as well. You were talking about the armchair, that the scenes in the prison, and it really does place Nielsen Makhno is in that. It's fascinating, and I suspect it's my instinct tells me it's probably a very true portrayal of a man who's like, well, fuck all this blah blah blah. Let's actually get
Hmm.
something done. But of course, you can't make an omelette um without
Yes.
killing thousands of people, right? Or
Yes.
whatever the saying
Yeah.
goes, something like that.
Mm.
So the only thing I would say, a slight caution, because I was reading up about it a little bit, and we haven't finished the second half of the TV series
Hmm.
yet. Apparently, a little bit later on, Trotsky comes in for a bit of a kicking. Like he apparently he's quite demonized in this TV series, which I
That's
mean,
fine for me. I have
yeah,
zero
yeah, yeah.
problem
No,
with
no, no.
that.
I mean,
Yes.
Trotsky's an interesting, and we'll talk, because Dirk Bogarde played him in that film, didn't he, as well? And
Okay.
the assassination of, I will be talking Dirk Bogarde a little bit on another show we'll be recording tonight. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted you once again. You got me all excited thinking of you and
No.
your hat.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, basically, so I mean, so I think when I first discovered Nestor, just the idea of this little area of the Ukraine attempting to defend itself from both, the right and the left in a way, you're right, or from, yeah. I was just fascinated, like the idea, and
That'll never happen.
right. And then this kind of dance that happens then where obviously at no point does the Makhno's army ever ally itself with the whites, despite the fact that those are the whites being the name for the Tsarist forces. Um, but they do at different times have to have kind of moments where they ally themselves with the Bolshevik
Right,
army
right.
against the whites. But I think them understanding that there's a pretty good chance when this is over that there's going to be another civil war between the anarchists and the Bolshevik forces, which ultimately is what happens, right? And
Hmm.
in the end, Makhno. Uh, I mean, the reason that the book is, sorry, the reason the TV series is called The Nine Lives of Nestor Makhno is he was famously he should have died numerous times.
Bit
He
of
was
a
one of the people,
Rasputin, wasn't he?
very much, yeah.
Yeah.
And so is Buenaventura Durruti, which is another reason why he's another kind of figure that I
Right.
really enjoy reading about. So yeah, he ends up having to flee to France, where he kind of lives out the rest of his life. But it's not a happy life, and it's marked by poverty. And he gets TB way back, basically in his late teens in the prison. It plagues him the rest of his life. Um, but he kind of meets everyone. Everyone kind of goes to in almost like mark obeisance to him as much as an anarchist ever would do that. But like, Alexander Berkman goes, who, if you don't know do you know who Alexander Berkman is,
I
Clive?
do not.
Okay. Um, he's another fascinating figure. He was Emma Goldman's lover
Oh,
initially,
okay. Okay.
but
Don't know her.
Jewish. So it's both Jewish
Yeah.
anarchists. But Berkman, at
She's
quite a
she's
young,
also the source of one of my favorite quotes, and it's always misquoted. No one ever knows quite exactly what it is, but
yes, yeah,
basically, if I can't dance to it, it's not my revolution, which
yeah,
is brilliant. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. And
that
for a
is
woman to
brilliant.
say that so early as well, it's yeah, she's an amazing human being.
If
But
she'd
so
have if she'd have recommended a book, we might even have read it, Nick.
we might have,
Yeah.
yes.
I
I think I
mean,
have.
if a fella had recommended. So yeah.
Um, so
See earlier
yeah,
pods for
yes,
details, Ed.
it's um, so yeah, so Alexander Berkman, he attempted to assassinate the industrialist Henry Clay Frick, who was involved, I think, in the Homestead Massacre. So basically, he was one of these, rich industrialist guys who basically, when his workers went on strike, just had them gunned down by Pinkertons.
Mm.
And at this time, violence, and the wealthy have always had a monopoly of violence. They get very upset when it's directed back at them. As we
Mm.
can see with Luigi Mangione, right, in the US right now, is fascinating. He's the one who assassinated that CEO of that like medical company or whatever, right? Or you know
Okay.
about this? He's
No.
all, he's all okay. Um, I don't know. I don't actually know what his politics exactly are. But he's become quite a meme because he's quite a good-looking young man.
Okay.
Um,
No. This story has
oh, you should totally look up Luigi
avoided
Mangione.
me,
Yeah, he's on trial right now in the US, and so it's kind
and
of
Billy Bragg's on tour in Canada.
there you go. Yes, the time is right. Um, but
We're gonna take down that Thatcher.
well, yes, yes, Dan the poll tax. Um,
Sorry to make fun of. I actually do quite like Billy Bragg.
um, but so what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah. So anyway, Alexander Berkman attempted and failed to assassinate him. Gets thrown in jail. Writes an amazing book called Memoirs of. Oh, like his prison. It's a prison memoirs book. It's a really good book.
Okay. I like a
Um,
prison memoir.
yeah, and then he ends up becoming like just one of these anarchists who travels the world and sort of writes and foments stuff. And so
I,
he
I like prison memoirs so much that I even enjoyed that one written on toilet paper by a totally unapologetic Nazi. Uh,
oh, which prison
what's
memoir?
his name? The architect, the Spandau one.
Okay,
I'm blanking on his name now, but
okay. I've never read.
I even
I've
enjoyed
never read.
that.
Okay. No, I do actually. I will say, for some reason, I've always, even though I'm terrified of the idea of ever going to prison, always been fascinated by a good prison memoir. Um,
Yeah.
but
As long as
anyhow,
they don't put you in my cell, you'll be all right.
so one of my favorite photographs
If
of
you have a fur hat on.
No. One of my favorite photographs of Makhno ever is the picture of him in his bathing suit with Alexander Berkman standing like in France somewhere. Just these two in a
Oh,
way
I have
like
seen that picture. I think it might be in one
it's
of
in
the
the book
books.
probably,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just the idea of those two people together, these two heroes of the anarchist struggle having a swim. Like it's awesome. It really
It's
humanizes.
almost as good as whoever it is in that film, Blue Demon and another
Right.
masked wrestler sitting down to tea.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, like his story is a story of like you said, it is hard to kind of unpick because yeah, war is not pleasant, right? And bad stuff like that. But I think what's maybe more interesting is how after the fact, how he was like ruthlessly smeared, right? By
You
almost
want to
every
talk about Red Devils?
Yes, right. So this is a good example, right? So he's very much still alive when that film comes out.
This is not the aerial display team, by the
No,
way.
no, no,
Although
nor
I
I'm
wonder if they ever saw. Do you think they might be named after this kind of now obscure Russian propaganda film?
Grand film, maybe, maybe. Yeah, so 1923, basically. Let me open up the Wikipedia page actually on Red Devils.
It's basic. It's kind of like imagine Goonies, but replace that gang with
With
Nestor
Nestor
Makhno, and
Makhno.
you're kind of in.
Yes, yeah, not bad. So yeah, it's Soviet adventure film directed by Ivan Peristiani, based on a novel. And it's actually part one of two. There's actually five of them, I think, of these
Oh,
films.
really?
The second one also features the same uh, guy playing the part, apparently, of Makhno. So
Oh,
Makhno actually appears in the
does he
sequel.
drop kick a puppy across the room or
I
something?
think he might, yes, yeah. Um, and although it's funny, so yeah, I mean, basically the story is there. The Makhnovists, they kill the Bolshevik like engineer dad of this brother and sister who kind of swear vengeance, and they go off and join the Red Army to
Yes.
fight off Makhno, and
And
they
there's a
meet
and there's
a
a
young
there's
black
a
guy.
there's a black guy who joins them, right? And
Yeah,
I couldn't figure, is he supposed to be American? Is he supposed to
I
be
think
African
so.
American? You're right. And he jumped ship.
Yes,
Yes.
and he's become an acrobat, but he's being abused by his employer, so they kind
Yes.
of rescue him, and he joins them.
Yeah. But
Um,
to be fair, I mean, yeah, he's kind of slightly, there's a bit of minstrelly comic relief thing about him every now and again, so it's not
touch
quite the
That's
full on.
progressive. At the same time, I thought, everyone kind of holds up that Star Trek episode where Captain Kirk kisses Uhura as being like, and I'm like,
Ah,
no, there's
yes.
there's a scene at the end of this where a white dude kisses a black dude on the lips, and I was
That's
like,
true.
that's
Yeah.
quite progressive for 1923. Um,
Yeah.
but no,
I have to
if
admit, but
actually
some of the Makhnovites in this film, like
have
with their
escaped from
fucking
Sonic the Hedge, have
goggles and
escaped from Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. They've got these like
yeah,
steampunk goggles and massive mustaches.
either that or Russ Tamblyn in Satan Sadists, right? Because
Yes, there's a
they're
bit of
cutting
that.
down people and cackling and stuff.
But they also look like they could all be on like the Laputas like blimp ship.
Oh yeah, yes,
Like
yes,
easily could be those dudes.
yeah.
Um but yeah, but it's funny when Makhno first shows up. And so the actor who plays Makhno, did you read about him?
I
He was
didn't know.
yeah, quite a fascinating dude himself.
Okay,
Um turns out to have been, let me see if I can look him up here. Yeah, Vladimir Kucherenko, credited as Vladimir Sutrin. Um, so he gets executed a few years after this film comes out because he was an Odessa.
that's some harsh film criticism right there.
Yep. No, and not because of his acting, because he was an Odessa gangster, like a
Ah,
proper mafia guy. Like
all right.
he was Russian mafia, and basically, yeah, like this was kind of a side thing for him. Like, oh yeah, fuck, as a lark. So like Ando Gumi, right?
Oh
What's
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was kind of, I guess, he was the Ando of Russia of this era,
Interesting.
and
I
then
hope he did a film about his sexual escapades while on the run from the police.
I believe he does. He does, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, a
Yes.
stunning ending. Happy ending actually. So he yeah, and so yeah, I guess after this film he went right back to being a gangster, like after having his film career, and changed his name to Makhno.
Oh,
because he played him in the film and he thought that's going to strike further fear into other Odessa gangsters and so on.
wow.
And then, yeah, and then was ultimately liquidated by the Cheka or the KGB or whatever form was
Wow.
the um
That is
yeah. But the
really
funny thing
interesting.
is, I mean, and they picked he's a really little guy, right?
He's
Which
quite,
obviously
yeah,
deliberately,
diminutive.
yeah.
Was Makhno?
Yes, he was a little guy. So I
Right,
mean, the
right.
actor who plays him in the TV series as well
Is
is
quite
also,
small, yeah, yeah.
but actually at some points,
There's
like
a bit of the Napoleon complex thing in there, isn't there?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so some of his body language and stuff is actually quite similar to the actor who plays him in the TV series. I
Yes,
thought
I thought
like,
so.
um,
I
yeah,
again, not knowing really, not being an authority and not being, the man to ask, just instinctively, I really do think Pavlev Derevyanko's um Makhno
it
is
feels
maybe as
really
close
authentic.
as you're going to get to an
Well,
authentic
because
portrayal.
it's a Borstal Boy version of like, like my
Right.
feeling, like, you know what I mean? Like he kicks off all the time. I enjoy how fucking argumentative he is and how like he's
Yes.
always got an answer ready.
Yeah. And you
And
never know when, right? Like
yes,
suddenly he'll get annoyed that people are smoking around him or something like that. Or
yes, yeah.
uh
Yeah, and he's quite scary. Like he don't,
yeah,
yeah, he goes from being
yeah.
kind of like
But
funny to
also
like,
very, very likable and charming.
hmm,
And no, it's a really good. It does interest me that because outside of people who saw it when it was first broadcast, and I don't think people know about this
no,
TV series, right?
no,
And a lot,
and
obviously nowadays, Russian media might not be popular in some, spaces around the world, but this is, from a slightly not that long ago, but in some ways a very different time where, we've kind of crossed a Rubicon. Um, and it no, it's no, I'm really impressed with the TV series, I have to
and
say.
kind of great to pair it actually with that Red Devils because you see what the in many ways the Russian line has been for most of the last century about Makhno.
Hmm.
That like the version we see of him as a rapist, drunken, murderer, basically bandit, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's
He's from a spaghetti western or something,
yeah,
isn't he? Yeah.
that's the story that the Russians told themselves, for a long, long time. And so that to see this TV series, yeah, really, as I said, get into the weeds on issues of like how is Bolshevism different than anarchism? How is,
No,
what
it's
was
really
really
interesting.
going, about all this shifting alliances and kind of, yeah, fascinating. And then to have a central performance so compelling where you're like, yeah, I can see why people were following this guy, but also, holy fuck, this guy's kind of scary. Like it's not a hagiography. It's not a saintly,
No, no, not at all.
presentation of him or the movement. And then for me, just there's some pure pleasure in seeing anyone spend the time and money to just present a piece of anarchist history, right? There's like
Yes.
this, there's
I
not
don't know
that
how
much.
many of them there actually are at a class. I have 12 episodes as well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I said it's cheap TV, but actually for cheap TV, it does have a certain production value,
Yes.
right?
And you do feel in a weird way you kind of touch on a little bit of just the Ukrainian life.
Mm. Uh,
Yeah, I was just going to say it is kind of nice to just see some of the Ukrainian peasant life stuff, just like how people lived. Some of
it seems pretty
and the weird
authentic.
and the weird way in which I think this is always true for like anarchists in countries that have a very strong Christian thing, that there's a weird like acknowledgement or like people will still say, things occasionally that sound like, oh, that's a weirdly kind of like Christian thing to say for somebody who effectively doesn't believe in gods and masters. But in a way, it's hard to completely separate yourself from the culture you're immersed in, I guess.
So there we go. I think we're probably
Yeah.
all talked out on Nestor.
So my feeling is, sorry to the author of this book, but yeah, this is not your place to start. I enjoyed reading it because it was a reminder of things, and as I said, I
I
didn't.
will say,
Mhm,
after I read the other book,
mhm.
I did get on with it slightly better. I still question the decision to write it in that very kind of informal,
Yeah.
matey style, but at
Mhm.
least it's it's less bewildering if you kind of know about your subject
Yes.
first, right? And
Yeah.
oh yeah, sorry, there was one quite good thing I liked about the book was at the very end, there's like an
Yes.
additional list of other
Yes.
anarchists you should know about. That was
Mhm.
quite interesting. That was
I
quite
thought so too, because there was a
informative.
few
Yeah,
people I didn't know.
right, right.
And then I didn't realize. So the author of the Good Soldier Schweik,
Yes,
I didn't know had any. I mean,
yes.
it's not surprising that
But the big surprise for me was I didn't know that Kermit the Frog was an anarchist and that he was actually led to it by Miss Piggy. That was the
yeah,
big surprise for me.
yeah, that was a revelation for
But I
sure.
suppose if you go back and look, it makes sense in
No, it
in
does. I mean,
retrospect.
you think
Right.
about her, yeah, she was naturally anti-authoritarian to
Right.
uh, um,
Frog fucking a pig is just weird.
um, so yeah. However, fascinating person, I think, and Nestor Makhno. More people should know about him. More people should just know about that period of history. That fascinating that the Russian Civil War was a three-sided civil war. It wasn't just
Right.
Tsarist forces versus the
Right.
Bolsheviks.
But I'm glad
Um,
you recommended it as well because it did also, oddly enough, in conjunction with something else we're going to talk about in another show, it did kind of um, remind me as well of, you know, all European history is shared history to a certain extent, and I keep kind of forgetting about the 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 weird relationship between Germany
hmm,
and Russia, which is
yeah.
something you just tend to think of it just being a hard line, right? But of course, it's not.
No, I wasn't Catherine the Great. I mean, again, like the royal families, the Germans were everywhere.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
British royal family is German. The
yeah.
Russian
But
royal family
it's
was German.
fascinating. You tend to think of the other ones, but that one, for some reason, you don't
Hmm.
really think about it, right? But I guess that's probably a kind of holdover from a post Second World War, where like they're so starkly kind of represented in that conflict, right? But anyway,
Oh, and I was
let's
going to say
yeah.
about Red Devils, the one thing I'll say about it is if you separate the politics, which I find odious, in that film, it's
A
actually kind of
well-made
a
film.
very good adventure
Yeah,
film made, and the print you can find on YouTube is quite clear. And so yeah, it's actually kind of an interesting thing.
it's one of Corey Feldman's better performances as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, he was younger in 1923.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
all right. So until next time, uh,
Toodaloo.
toodaloo.
Why am I not able to stop this? I can, and I will.